Did you want me to come in and unmute, or are you okay unmuting?
Yeah, I'll
Okay, okay, got it. Test 1 2 1 2.
Councilmember Garamella, can you hear me? Councilmember Garamella, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, I can hear you. No. No. No, it's totally fine.
And say to yourself, okay, if I want to feel
Hey,
good about
Councilmember
myself,
Scoggins Johnson,
maybe
can you
I'll
hear
eat
me?
an apple, or
Yes, I can.
or if I want a sweet treat, maybe I'm going to go for that. Either way,
I'm here, but I'm not going to be on camera.
and then move on.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
I said I'm here, but I'm not going to be on camera tonight. I'll just be on mic. I
Okay,
see Satish is here too. Hi, Satish.
yes, okay, all right. We have confirmed we can hear you both, so I'm going to mute this for the time being until the meeting starts.
Sorry, that's mine.
No, you're fine.
Good evening. I call this November 28th meeting of the Morrisville Town Council to order. Thank you to those watching via live stream and those who are watching a recording of this meeting. On December 4th, a video of this meeting will be uploaded to www.morrisvillenc.gov/government. Detective Johnson has been in law enforcement for about 5 years, and she is currently assigned to the Criminal Investigations Division. We appreciate her being our Sergeant-at-Arms this evening. Thanks for being here. Councilmember Rao will deliver tonight's invocation.
Thank you, Mayor. Please bow our heads in prayer. We come together this evening in the All-America city of Morrisville to continue to lead one of the most innovative and diverse towns in the United States of America. We pray this evening for the family of former President Jimmy Carter, for the loss of his wife, Rosalind, our former First Lady, and we are forever grateful for their service to our nation. We also will never forget the legacy of service of the late Wake County Commissioner, Dr. James West. We pray for any family who has lost a loved one or for anyone battling illness, and for the Southeast Raleigh community after the tragic stabbing yesterday. During this Giving Tuesday, we pray that you instill in our hearts radical generosity and make us realize that the suffering of others should be as intolerable as our own. We pray that we can unleash the power of radical generosity all over the world by sharing the light and love of our hearts with others. We pray for empathy, compassion, and unconditional love. We pray for any soldier who defends our freedom here and abroad, or for any Gold Star family who has lost a loved one in defense of our nation. Let us never forget that we are the land of the free because of the brave. Finally, I end this invocation with the inspiring words from President John F. Kennedy's inaugural address, whose assassination was remembered last Wednesday, November 22nd. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. In the midst of 2 wars, senseless violence, the rise of racism, anti-Semitism, hatred, and a nation more divided than has ever been in recent history, please give us the strength to honor the vision of our president, that we can serve our nation first, unite around service to our communities regardless of political party or ideology, and that we can always value and treasure freedom here at home and abroad. We pray for all these things this evening. Amen.
Amen. If you are able, please stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we adopt tonight's agenda, I would just want to acknowledge that Council members Vicky Scroggins Johnson and Satish Garamella will be participating remotely this evening. They'll be able to participate fully, but not participate in votes. Town Council policy is to review and ensure there are no conflicts of interest or appearance of conflict of interest with any items on the agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to share at this time? I'd entertain a motion to adopt this evening's agenda.
I move that we adopt this evening's agenda.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 5-0. There are 3 items on this evening's consent agenda: approval of October 2023 Town Council meeting minutes, approval of the Town Council calendar year 2024 meeting schedule, and a resolution authorizing additional PRCR positions. Does anyone want to discuss any of these before I accept the motion? Would anyone like to make a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I'll second.
Motion in a couple of seconds. All those in favor of adopting tonight's consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 5-0. We have 5 presentations tonight. Recognition of MESC poster contest winners, Morrisville 101 graduate recognition, recognition of police department accreditation and fire department deployment, and a language access plan presentation. Kimberly Conley, Sustainability Coordinator, will facilitate the first presentation.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Thank you for being here to our winners. We are going to be recognizing the first place winners of the 18th Annual Student Art Poster Contest, as well as the grand prize winner. So we welcome the families that are here tonight. Thank you for being here. So we had a record number of entrants this year. We're really, really pleased about this. We had 78 entries. from 8 schools. And then in addition, we had 3 more organizations that submitted, had students that submitted entries. And so we're really super proud of this. All first, second, and third place winners will receive a certificate that's signed by the mayor, as well as a gift bag with tree-inspired, because we have Morrisville Roots for Trees, tree-inspired gifts. All artists that submitted a piece of artwork will receive a letter from the mayor as well. And then I also wanted to mention the Morrisville Community Library will be, this is the first time we've ever done this, so we're really excited about it. They're going to be displaying the first, second, and third, as well as the grand prize winners, the actual art at the library for about a month. And so please visit your favorite library right up the street and take a look at all of the entries. And then, of course, we put the grand prize winner, we've made that into a banner, and that will hang on Town Hall Drive. Those banners will go up for the last 10 years of winners. We will put those up on Town Hall Drive just after the holiday banners come down. So our Morrisville community, our business community really stepped up this year. We had a number of donations for prizes, including from B&B Theaters at Park West, Leo's Social Club, also from Park West, and then we had Handel's Ice Cream that donated 1 free ice cream cone to all of the winners, all first, second, and third place winners, so that's pretty fabulous. So a special thank you to all of those businesses that donated those wonderful prizes. And now I would like to recognize Donna Catalini. She is our Vice Chair of the Morrisville Environment and Stormwater Committee to go through all of the winners. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Good evening. So as I announce the winners' names, I'd like for you to come up to the front up here by Michelle and accept your certificate with the mayor, and then move over to the side, that side of the stage, but stay on the stage. All right, so here we go. So we're starting doing this a little differently this year. We're starting this year with our 5th graders, and we're going down to the grand prize winner. So our first place 5th grade winner is Dia Satish. Dia's from Parkside Elementary.
Congratulations.
Our 4th grade first prize winner, also from Parkside Elementary, is Wade Sahasrabude. I hope I said that all right. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do that.
Congratulations.
No.
Other hand. There you go.
Okay,
Good job.
unfortunately, the next student, this is
Look
Wade's
at her.
poster. You got a lot of detail in there.
Now we'll look at
The next student from Cedar Fork Elementary, the 3rd grade winner, is unfortunately not able to attend tonight, but Shri Huvisa, this is their poster, and we thought it was a really good one. Our first place winner, also, I don't think is here tonight. I didn't see them coming in. So also from Cedar Fork Elementary, Ni Shrita Moka is our 2nd grade first place winner. And then from Cedar Fork Elementary, boy, they were cranking them out, the Cedar Fork over there. We have Sunjita Satish.
Give me your right hand. Good job. Nope. Stand right there for a second. And we'll do one for Dad. Lower it a little bit so you can see your face. There you go. Okay, congratulations.
And then our kindergarten first place winner, and I know you'd be surprised by this, Cedar Fork Elementary, is Sahana Batu.
right hand. I'll shake your right hand. Good job. Okay, whoop, stand right there for a second. And then hold it up. Perfect. You want to look at her? Is that mom?
And last but certainly not least, we have our grand prize winner, who is a first grader from Sterling Montessori and Charter School. And so Sanvi Vinod Kumar, could you please come and join the mayor? And they're going to hold up her poster that
Hold
we
that
picked.
side right there.
I'd like to thank all the contestants.
one
You did
for
a
Mom.
wonderful job.
Look at your mom. Okay. If we could have the whole council up here, that'd be great. Why don't you stand right in the middle of it, and someone else can hold the other side. Liz, do you want to hold this other side?
Yes.
Is everybody good? Okay, let's all glance in this direction, to the left first. Okay, now let's all look to the right. Okay, and like we did in the lobby, real quick, let's put our hands in. We're going to say trees on 3. A quick trees cheer, okay? Everybody in? Trees on 3. Trees on 3. 1, 2, 3. Trees!
Good job, everybody. Congratulations.
All set? Did you want to say something, or did you guys want to say something? You said all your stuff? Okay. Let's give them another hand. Good job, everybody. Oh, great. Bonus.
I'm sorry, but so Nashrita Mocha just showed up. She's second place first prize winner, and she's from Cedar Fork Elementary.
Right hand, there we go. And I'm not surprised. I had to park across the street too, so it took a little while. Okay, a little bit down, a little bit. Don't cover your face. There we go. Congratulations. Do you want to? Can we actually have all the winners up so we can have her in that picture too? We'll just take a moment and we'll get all the winners up for one more picture. Come on up. Wherever you were standing before. That'd be great. This will be the new revised better picture. Were you the grand prize winner? Okay, you're right in the middle. Right here. You help us hold it. Sound good? That's a great picture. You did a really nice job.
Okay, everybody look here. We'll take 2 pictures.
Trees. Okay. Let's give them another hand. Good job, everybody. Yeah, that's nice. We'll just give them a moment to clear. So we have 4 more presentations, so we should probably be out of here by 11. So you guys don't have to worry about that. So Will Glenn, Communications and Outreach Director, will facilitate the Morrisville 101 graduate recognition.
All right, good evening. Will Glenn, Communications and Outreach Director. I'm going to ask our Morrisville 101 students if they could please come in symbol here to my right, please. When I call your name, we'll be quick. We're going to call our students' names out and take a good photo with our council as well. I do want to mention for those who may not know that Morrisville 101 is our 5-week resident academy that teaches them all about government and specifically Morrisville's government. This class was a special class. They were very energetic, very engaging. I think our presenters really enjoyed them each night. I'll say also that I was checking today, every department basically presented to them except for HR. So got to get them involved next time we go around. Also, I want to thank my staff as well, Laura and Julia, and also Rox when she came on the tail end, and also all the presenters from each department that came and spoke to them as well. So, well done. Okay, when I call your name, if you can come and get your certificate and just file there in front of the stage for me, please. All right. Sadaf Abbas.
That works.
Syed Abbas. No rush, no rush. So I'm gonna call all the names, even of those who weren't here. We had 19 students. It was a very big class this year. They all couldn't make it tonight, so I'm gonna call their name to recognize them also. Erica Blankenship. She's here. Vas Chalipa. Not here. Sandra Christian. Chadana Kusama. Our firefighter, Martin Hicks, couldn't make the night as well. Want to recognize him. Quang Chang Lu. He couldn't make it as well. Hope Lu. Loretta Moscow. Cherry and Matthew. Lois Moo. Right on time. Narki Narti. Jesse Osaria. See Jesse. Miss Phyllis Smith. Surab Soni. Olga Tochinskaya. Mark Toshinsky. And Paul Vicente. Let's give them a round of applause. And going to ask our council to please come down as well and get a photo with them.
And we have your back.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you all very much. Congratulations. Good to see you, Narki.
I'm so impressed with you guys.
Thank you so much. Brandon Zudema, Town Manager, and Pete Acosta, Police Chief, will facilitate the next presentation.
So I'm going to call a couple others up. Thank you, Council. Good evening. Going to introduce a couple other people as Chief Acosta comes up. Also want to recognize Tanaja Brown, the Police Department's Accreditation Manager. And am pleased to introduce a guest tonight. So behind me is Chief Jeff Smythe, retired from the Burlington Police Department, now works for North Carolina with training and standards, but more importantly is a CALEA commissioner. And so he has agreed to take time out of his personal schedule to make time tonight to present this accreditation, reaccreditation to our police department. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeff.
Mayor Cawley, council members, Town Manager Zudema, residents and guests, appreciate you all being here tonight for this occasion. On behalf of the Commission of Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, CALEA, our commission chair, who's Marlon Lynch, and our executive director, Craig Hartley, I'm honored to be here to recognize the terrific success of Chief Pete Acosta and the entire Morrisville Police Department. CALEA was created in 1979 when the founding organizations of the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the National Association of Black Law Enforcement Executives, the National Sheriff's Association, and the Police Executive Forum all recognized a need to develop professional standards to enhance the delivery of police services to citizens. Since its inception, CALEA has accredited agencies under standards developed by the best public safety practitioners and leaders. These standards are reviewed continuously to ensure each is current and remains relevant. Standards cover a wide range of administrative, operational, and logistical issues and serve as a modern management model of excellence within public safety. Morrisville town leaders and residents should take comfort in knowing that your police department is committed to operating at the highest levels under a set of rigorous law enforcement standards that are designed to enhance crime prevention capabilities, formalize essential management procedures, establish fair and non-discriminatory personnel practices, improve service delivery, and increase community and staff confidence in the agency. And to put this into perspective just a little bit, there are about 600 police and sheriff's departments across North Carolina. Only 65 of them are currently accredited by CALEA. So you're in a very small company of agencies that choose to voluntarily enter this process of accreditation, and it's truly a remarkable accomplishment. Based on the goals and mission of CALEA, I can think of no better time or place to present this accreditation certificate than at a public meeting where everyone can share and recognize the hard work this agency committed to achieving its first advanced accreditation award, and I'll speak more about that in just a moment. The certificate itself is simply matted paper within a frame, but it has a much broader symbolic meaning. It represents the agency's efforts in demonstrating its willingness to change to effectively address contemporary public safety concerns. It represents a commitment to doing the right thing and doing it in the right way. Lastly, it represents an ongoing dedication to ensuring the agency's resources are appropriately developed, effectively deployed, and constantly managed. This past June, a CALEA assessor visited the Morrisville Police Department to assess the agency. Over the 4-year assessment period, a number of additional nationally recognized assessors interviewed staff and spent several days reviewing files and proofs of compliance. Several peer agencies, community members, and business leaders made extremely positive comments regarding the agency's professionalism and exceptional leadership. At the commission meeting held in Bellevue, Washington, November 8th to 11th of this year, CALEA commissioners reviewed the assessor's report, concurred with their findings, and unanimously voted to approve the Morrisville Police Department for your first CALEA Advanced Law Enforcement Accreditation Award. Having been accredited previously for more than 14 years, your agency has demonstrated a much higher level now of compliance by moving from what we call Tier 1 accreditation to advanced accreditation. The difference is complying with 461 standards, up from about 183 with Tier 1. So they've demonstrated compliance with an additional 278 standards, each with an individual file and proofs of compliance. It's a very noteworthy accomplishment, especially for an agency of this size. It really is remarkable work. So with council's permission, I'd like to invite Chief Costa forward and present the 5th award for the CALEA accreditation.
Now we'll join you. Perfect.
As they're making their way up, I just want to say, so Tanaja is our accreditation manager, and she's done a fantastic job. Her role is to manage this accreditation, which she highlights all the hard work that all the women in these departments. So I'm just extremely proud, not of our whole police department. This is our entire police department.
Back to you, Town Manager Zudema.
Thank you. So I told Chief Lazinski I wasn't going to say anything, but I may not have been entirely truthful. Come on up. So I think it's only fair, because I'm not sure that Chief Lazinski would do this. He's going to speak to you about members of his staff that went well above and beyond to support people they don't know, they don't normally serve. So I think everyone recognizes the immense value we find in our fire department and the immense value that I find in Chief Lazinski. But not only do they serve the Morrisville community and our surrounding communities through our CAM model, but they also often leave the county, leave the region of the state to lend support to others. So I think that just continues to speak to who they are, to what their dedication is, to having no hesitation to do whatever it takes, wherever they're needed outside of Morrisville and beyond. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Lazinski and just want to say congratulations.
What he said. Council, Mayor, thank you for having us up tonight. We do want to talk about our deployment to the Poplar Drive fire in Henderson County. We want to show gratitude and celebrate our staff members that were able to raise their hands and go out west and really at great sacrifice to their personal their family and the schooling that they have. A lot of them go to school. A lot of them do a lot of things on their days off. They took 5 days out of their life to go out there. The fire department really looks for this as an opportunity to extend our reach in multiple different ways. Anytime a community raises their hand and they're like, we need help, the Morrisville Fire Department is going to go out and assist them however we can. There's a lot of ways that they can raise their hand for assistance. There's the mutual aid system throughout the state of North Carolina. There's the emergency management division. If those individuals call us, we're going to respond and help. As a fire chief, if I have an incident that extends beyond our ability and nobody's there to help us, that's a daunting task in our mind. The other reason why we extend our staff members' help is engagement. It gets them engaged. It gets them have the ability to respond to larger incidences that they might not be able to respond to here. Provides training, provides a sort of emergency management experience. So if we have a large-scale incident, then they're able to bring that information back to us and extend our abilities here to provide that customer service and the services that we provide. And really, in the end, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make the fire service a community across the state of North Carolina. If you raise your hand, like I said, we're going to respond out there. So I'd like to call them up because they're as shy as can be. So Billy Dickens, Garrett Lewis, Cameron Papely, and Kevin Latman, we'd like to thank you for responding out there and raising your hands. You guys took great sacrifice. Quickly, how this goes down is either the way County Emergency Management or the state of North Carolina calls us and says we need help. So then we have about 12 hours to mobilize and get everybody prepared. So then I start calling around and saying, who's ready to go? So they have 12 hours to get prepared, leave their family, and respond out to where it needs to be. And they have to be self-sufficient for 5 days. So when I called Captain Dinkins, I heard his kids in the background. I heard his wife saying, "You're doing what?" So he has to fight through all of that. And so we appreciate everything, the sacrifices that they make. There's a lot of tough conversations that I have to hear that they have to go through. But really what they're doing is that customer service, the service before self, that endless empathy that we show anybody. So would you like to say something? Oh, real quickly, I want it known. They asked me, what if we have to talk to the media when we're gone? And I was like, well, talk to them. So in the meantime, ABC 11 calls me and says, can we talk to one of the staff members that are out there? And I'm like, absolutely. Sorry, Will, I did not ask for permission. It was a knee-jerk reaction I had. So they even gave an interview while they're out there, which also lends that credibility to our organization and says that we're willing to go wherever we are, or wherever we're needed. Sorry, Chief Acosta, if you're still here. We're only one of 114 fire departments in the nation that are accredited and have a Class 1 rating. I'm going to let that sink in. Okay. But it's not because of what I do, it's because of what they do. And it's nice that we can show our staff to all of the state and say what a level of professionalism they have. So, thank you.
Want to do one without us first, and then one with? You guys get down low, we'll get behind you. We'll have your backs again.
Mr. Mayor, can I have another 30 seconds? Thank you. We have an annual turkey bowl of some sort. I don't think he's actually hurt. I think he's looking for a reason not to play because he knew fire was going to win. So we have an annual turkey bowl where fire and police plays each other. It's really a fundraiser to help any community organization that we choose. This year we chose food insecurity and really wanted to raise a lot of food for any food bank that needs that assistance. So that's the important part. The second to that is, of course, Fire won. We have a 4-foot trophy that we have a 4-foot trophy that we were going to bring, but we decided, the town manager looked at me and said, if you bring that up there, that's the last time you're going to be here. But I just wanted to recognize the fire department also for winning the Turkey Bowl. I'm not going to say it again, they've won 3 years in a row, but that's neither here nor there. Thank you for your time, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. And once again, thank you to the firefighters going above and beyond. We can't appreciate them any more than we do. Thank you all. Okay. So we'll get back to the serious work. Giselle Rodriguez, Deputy Town Manager, will make the final presentation of this evening.
Namaste, buenas noches, good evening, Town Council and members that are here present. My name is Giselle Rodriguez. I am the Deputy Town Manager. And I am very excited to be in front of you this evening to be able to introduce you to what has been close to a year work on the Language Access Plan. So our team has been busy for nearly the last year working on this, and we're very excited to have it at a point where we can now present it to you. So through this presentation, we will share our experiences through this program with you, and we will also go into some of the details of the plan. It will be impossible for me to cover everything that will be on the plan, but I will give you a quick overview and a quick highlights of what's the most important areas of the plan, particularly focus on the purpose, the policy that will be involved with this plan, what is the framework, and what are the action items that we will be required to take as we implement language access in our community. First of all, to set the stage, it is important to recognize that in Morrisville, as we can see on these images, in Morrisville, we embrace our cultural diversity, and language access is an essential step in our journey. For us, this is a great opportunity to intentionally reach individuals in our community that are not coming in for services, and those that do come in with limited interaction, and we want to improve that. Now, as I mentioned, and I said we multiple times, because this has not been a Giselle effort, it's definitely been a team behind this effort, a very engaged team, and it's a partnership not only from staff, but also from the community. So our former town manager, Martha Page, was the one that initiated this process by making an application to the Language Access Collaborative. And in addition to Martha, in our team is our current town manager, Brandon Sudema, Jeannie Hooks, our Director of Management Services, Will Glenn, our Communications Director, Communications and Outreach Director, and myself from town staff, and from our community partner, who is Hindi Vikas Mandal. We have Shushma Maheshwari and Arundhati Baba. And just for those that are not aware of what Hindi Vikas Mandal does, they are a nonprofit of HSNC that encourages the study and the appreciation of the Hindi language and some cultural practices as well. As I mentioned, Shushma and Arundhati have been extremely engaged throughout this process, and I will tell you, we could not have chosen a better partner. So it has definitely been a great journey. On your places, you should have a flyer. Looks like this. And that is a flyer that just gives you a quick overview of what the Language Access Collaborative is, which is a program of the Institute of the Americas at UNC Chapel Hill, as I mentioned, for which is a program for which we had to apply, and we were selected along with 8 other municipalities or counties. And through this program, we received great guidance and educational support. Some of the other municipalities that are involved in this process, they may be farther along in their language access journey. They may have positions that are dedicated for this. They may have already a plan that are now being expanded more broadly through the organization. And it was very valuable to be able to participate with those that have already been in this journey for a bit, because we can learn from their experiences as well. At this moment, I would like to recognize Susan Clifford, who is the Language Access Coordinator for the program. She has been the greatest cheerleader throughout the whole time, and I would like for her to share a few words with you.
Oh, Wonderful. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council and community members. I'm Susan Clifford with the Institute for the Study of the Americas from UNC Chapel Hill. And I just want to say what an absolute pleasure it has been working with Team Morrisville. We've all been very impressed with their work. We benefit from learning from each other. And there are kind of two things that have stuck out to my mind as special about this team in particular. One is the support of the leadership from the town right from the beginning, the participation of town managers and deputy town managers as part of this work and this planning. And then the second, I would say, is the focus on relationship building with Sushma and Arundhati and Hindi Vikas Mandal together, with the town. Really, it's not a checkbox for anyone. It's real and sincere and focused on eating together regularly, visiting each other, celebrating together. And that has truly laid, I think, a foundation of centering relationships and building trust that's going to lead to really wonderful outcomes in terms of language access and sustain this work because you all are invested in people and relationships. So I'm just really impressed with that. And again, so thankful to be working with this team and so excited to see what you do this next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. And as I mentioned, this wouldn't have been possible without our partner, Hindi Vikas Mandal, and without Sushma and Arundhati. As Susan mentioned, our focus throughout this program was not just only to just write a plan, but it was primarily focused on establish a strong relationship with Hindi Vikas Mandal. And through this process, we have witnessed through partnership, commitment, and collaboration. And I would like to recognize Sushma so that she can tell you a little bit of her experience, hers and Arundhati's experience as a community partner through this process.
Thank you, Giselle. Mayor TJ, councilmen, citizens, and all of us. Before I say my experience, I would like to share a little story. Just imagine a Sunday, beautiful Sunday afternoon with shining bright sun. Kids are playing in the yard. Parents are either cooking dinner or doing the yard work. That particular Sunday afternoon was October 29th, when Hindi Vikas Mandal had a program in HSNC. About 3,000 to 4,000 people visited. So I invited town, mayor shows up, and our dear friend Giselle comes there. And remember, this is a beautiful afternoon where everybody is doing their own business. She shows up there, and she is there knowing that we are working with this 5,000-year-old story, Ramayana, and everything is going to be in Hindi language. She is there. Some of the people were trying to translate a little bit to put her, bring her on speed, but she was there to show the support. And this is what our partnership has been. Not that, she was only representing her or Brendan or Will or Jeannie. She was representing town of Morrisville. And I would like to say, big round of applause for her for that support. So with that kind of relationship or that kind of association as Hindi Vikas Mandal, we are very excited to hold hands with town of Morrisville and of course Chapel Hill, who are working on this language access program and chosen us. We are a drop in this ocean. I understand there is so much Indian community in town of Morrisville, but what they have embraced us, they have included us. So this inclusive approach is amazing. And thank you again. And we look forward to working together. And I remember one saying my mom used to say, we can't clap with one hand. To celebrate, we have to clap with both hands. So it is town of Morrisville and in the Mandal. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Shushma. The involvement of the community partner on this effort has been very important because they have shared key insights that helps us look at, as we develop this language access, it's not just about translation. It's not about just interpretation. It's about also having that sensitivity to how the cultural components influence our language access in this community. And being able to see things through their lens has really added a whole level, a whole nother dimension to this plan that without them engaged through and committed through this process, we wouldn't be able to have success. I would like to move, we have shared now our experiences through this program, so I would like to dive a little deeper into the meat of the plan and dive a little bit more into the data. We had to do a lot of data research. I never envisioned myself doing that much diving into the census data as I had to do for this plan, but I learned so much about our community. So to identify our language needs, we use the census data as one of our sources for identifying the areas that we should focus on. As we can see on this slide, one of our unique attributes is our demographics. We have experienced tremendous growth over the last 20 plus years, going from a population of 5,000 in 2000 to an estimated 32,000, with the majority of our population, or 46% of our population, being Asian Indian. These demographics, particularly shown on this slide, support our commitment to adopting language access goals and objectives. Now let's talk a little bit more about what is our purpose. Why does Morrisville need a language access plan? Number one, it's a federal requirement. By the federal government, every agency that receives any type of federal funding is required to establish language access, provide meaningful access to members of the limited English proficiency individuals in their community. Number two, for Morrisville, this is not just a federal mandate. It's more than that. For us, it is important because we are committed to inclusivity and to building stronger community connections in as many ways as possible to expand effective engagements with those who live, work, play, and learn in our community. As we have witnessed through many different events in our community is very supportive and engaged. And we want to make sure that we are accessible in serving our community in the best way possible. And language is a key component to be able to do that. Proof of our commitment to inclusivity and language access is expansion of our cultural programs. We have seen how we have expanded our cultural programs, especially we have enjoyed quite a few great programs this year with great community engagement through that process. We have also provided translation in Hindi to the National Citizen Survey, bond referendum video, through the budget process, and we also have provided Hindi translation through the processes for the small business program. It's important to also know that our small business program most recently has even made contact in Spanish and Vietnamese. I would say is the active program right now that is using language access the most, and I am very proud of that. So let's look a little bit more about that data collection that we got from the census. So we also found that 9% of our population have limited English proficiency. And as you will see through the slides, and you will also see in the plan, we will bring it to you later on, that's often referred to LEP individuals. And LEP individuals is defined as those individuals that speak English less than very well. So if 58.5%, as shown on this slide, is speaking English only, what languages are the other 41.5% speaking at home? So we also were able to find that 19% are speaking Indo-European languages. And there on the slide, I provided some examples of the languages that are involved on that group. The list is much longer than that, but it was a lot of them to include in the slide. So I included some of the most recognizable languages. 18% Asian and Pacific Islander languages. And that also, as shown on the slide, includes Chinese, Vietnamese, and Korean. For the purpose of the census, Hindi is considered an Indo-European language. So with so many languages included in these categories, we needed more data to be able to identify what languages should we focus on, especially when we had 19% Indo-European and 18% Asian and Pacific Islander languages, with only being a very small difference between the two. We needed to have something else that gave us a little more focus as to where should we really lean to. That's where we dive into the data for those foreign-born and migration data. So who is coming to our community from other location? Who are the individuals that are foreign-born in our community? What we found is over 14,000 of our population is foreign-born. And as we started diving into where are they coming from, we can see that 12,000 is coming from Asia, 10,000 is coming from South Central Asia, 10,000 of those, and then 9,000 of those, or 63% of all of those that are foreign-born, are coming from India, with Hindi being one of the primary languages. So that's where we were able to see, okay, this is definitely a focus language for us. We can certainly look at the demographic and say 46% of our population is Indian, but we really needed to figure out what languages are more predominant at home so that we know when those interactions are coming to us, what's really the need to be able to serve those individuals. One other component that was really important for us to be able to determine what our plan needs to be and what our community needs are was a departmental survey. We did a survey with all of our departments. All 13 departments completed the survey. And I would say all 13 departments were very happy to be part of the process. And included as attachment 1 is a very detailed report of all of the survey results, but I will only highlight a few things from that. On this slide, you will see that based on staff interaction from the different programs, the most frequently encountered non-English languages were Hindi, Chinese, and Spanish, with Hindi being the most predominant language that was being encountered. A few of the other highlights that I would like to make from the survey. When we started looking at those encounters that are occurring with staff, where is that occurring? What key services are the ones where that's happening the most? We saw that in solid waste collection, special events, public safety interactions, parks, recreation, and cultural programs, and services. We also found that 70% of the departments, when they were having those interactions were being provided through a family member, a friend, that was provided by the individual who then translated for the individual that needed those services. And one of the things that we found through the collaborative program is that oftentimes the family member who is brought to translate for individuals in the home are often children. And a lot of times there may be instances into which, and there were some examples provided by other municipalities into which there were some difficult situations in which a family member was brought to translate a younger family member, and it was putting the children in that very difficult position of having to translate to a very difficult situation for the family, causing additional trauma through the process. So, and it's one of the things that we learned, that those interaction through children should be to as much as we can, to try to avoid them, to make sure that we are providing very effective information, but at the same time that the information is being provided to the language that they best prefer and they can best understand. The additional highlight I would like to mention from the survey is that 92% of our department expressed that they desire training on how to interact with community members through language access assistance service. What that means is having a service for which they can call and they can have translation right there on, or interpretation right there on the phone, or having some other means to be able to be provided with assistance when the individuals are coming in for assistance. One other thing we found is that we have 4 departments that have staff members that speak Hindi. Engineering, police, planning, and parks, recreation, and cultural resources have staff members that speak Hindi, which is great to have. There are other languages that are prominent through the different departments as well, but Hindi was our primary focus as we started this plan. As I said, Hindi was our primary focus as we started this plan, but through this plan, we also identify strategic languages. While we look at census data to identify who is in our population, who lives here, we also have others that come to work here and that come here because they have a business here. And we want to make sure that we're also accessible to those individuals as well. So through this exercise, we also identify strategic languages that helps us identify through those interactions when they are occurring, what languages are most needed. And we identified our strategic languages as Hindi, Chinese, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And strategic languages become very important when we have to identify what documents should we translate. When we are having to provide interpretation services, what are the most predominant languages that we may encounter? That does not mean that we will, if an individual from the community comes to us with a need, we will only provide interpretation to these 4 languages. Once we establish a language access plan, it would allow us to replicate our efforts to other languages as well that may be needed in our community. But strategic languages will be primarily important when we determine what specific documents we have to have available in other languages. A key component of our plan is for us to define a policy, what procedures we will follow, and the actions that we will take for the implementation of our plan. For the definition of our policy, we utilize the guidance from the Department of Justice. So as our proposed policy, we want to establish that we will provide timely, meaningful access for limited English proficient persons to town information, program, and activities, that the service will be provided free of charge, and that we will make reasonable efforts to assess the need for language assistance. If there's any complaints received about language access, we will take it seriously, we will investigate it, and we will get it documented. As for our procedures, some of the procedures that we will take, there's a lot more detail about this on the plan that will be provided to you at a later date. But some of the procedures that we felt were important to highlight is for us to make sure that we evaluate the tools that we use to communicate, recognizing that there are different levels of proficiency in reading or speaking. Also considering the cultural competency component that does have a significant impact, and it's important for us to consider it. We also would like to make sure that we utilize language identification cards that would allow us to, once an individual is coming for service, there will be cards where they can point to identify the language that we need to provide interpretation to, so that it is easier for us to connect them with the services needed and get the information available to them as soon as possible. Also, we felt that a key component to this was also to provide intentional and proactive training to staff, but not just one time, but continue to provide training to staff as new staff join the town, so that we maintain that awareness and ensure the compliance throughout the town. And for departments to keep track of any budget or language access, so that we can validate the need and establish any additional or future budget needs for this plan. The action plan is really what where it defines all the goals for our plan and the objectives that pretty much provides the roadmap for our action, for our implementation plan. So I would like to quickly move through this chart on a clockwise way. So essentially the actions are split up in 5 different categories. Each category has a very specific goal for which that category was selected. So on our first category, we have welcoming and partnerships, and our goal for that is to increase understanding and awareness of other cultures and language access inclusivity. On marketing and outreach, our goal is to develop a brand to build energy around the town's language access plan. On program access, our goal is to create accessible programs and information resources that embrace a diverse and inclusive community. For service accessibility, it is our goal to improve resources that aid critical emergency situations prevention and support other customer service aspects that educate and inform all residents and businesses, bridging anxiety gaps to make genuine connections. And our staff training and tools is our goal to develop key resources and professional developments to staff to improve language access to information and services. Now, each of these categories not only has a goal, but it also has an objective that is essentially those actions that will take place to then implement them. So on welcoming and partnership, it is our objective to designate a language access coordinator and liaisons through our department, and making sure that we have welcoming signage throughout the different town facilities, so it allows individuals to know that the services are provided to them free of charge. Marketing and outreach is important for us to make sure we get the word out, that we let the community know the town is available to provide information to you in the language that you prefer. And in order to do that, we will definitely work with Hindi Vikas Mandal to then take those actions, put those actions in place. Not only advertising, but also providing developing orientation videos and hosting community town halls to increase awareness of key projects and processes in which interpretation can also be provided. On program access, one of the things that I would like to highlight here is a repository and an annual budget. In order for us to continue to provide language access to our community, there needs to be a sustainable source of funding for this to occur, right? But I would also like to highlight the repository. It's important for members of our community to have the language in a location, the language access plan in a location that can be readily accessible and available to the community. So we have connected with the Morrisville Library, and they will host a copy of our plan that will be available to the community if at any point they would like to explore the plan and be informed of what's contained within the plan. As we work with the Morrisville Library, we also found that they are also working on a language access plan, and it was a great opportunity for us to share experiences. And they have also been working with Hindi Vikas Mandal to expand some of their collections to provide collections in other languages, specifically Hindi. So it was definitely a good connection there, and it will be great to be able to use them as a repository to be able to make sure that the plan is accessible to the community. On service of accessibility is making sure, as I mentioned earlier, that we get our documents, the most important document, translated into other languages, which is what we call vital documents, so that they are accessible to individuals. When we move into staff training and tools, is providing those educational programs to staff, not only about the plan, but to also be able to provide them some additional awareness of the Indian culture and some key phrases that help them identify the service needs of those that are coming in. One thing I would like to point out on this slide is all the text in orange identify the areas or the objective in which we will work with Hindi Vikas Mandal to be able to implement this plan. As you can see, 50% of our actions, we will be working with our community partner to get these actions implemented, which means that without our community partner, we can't be successful. I mentioned we needed a sustainable funding. So through the Language Access Collaborative, which is a grant program, we will be awarded an amount of $25,000 that will be, I call it our inaugural budget because it's just going to get us started. But from there, we do need to identify funds. So this $25,000 includes services to be provided not only by the town, but those services that will be provided by Hindi Vikas Mandal. So that the funds designated are to be essentially split between the two of us to make sure that we can continue to implement the plan, but that they can also be compensated for their services. This is allowing us to start a pilot program. And this will be able to help us identify resources, financial resources that we will need to keep this program alive. So what are the next steps? So today we received the first formal glimpse into our plan development, but we do plan to come back to you in January with a finalized draft plan with a resolution in which you can then take the step to adopt the plan so that we can start implementation process. As part of the FY25 budget, we will need to consider a sustainable source of funding so that we can continue the implementation of this. And it will be really important for us to establish a tracking mechanism of our language needs and update the plan as applicable. So as we establish the plan doesn't mean that is the plan, it sits on a shelf, is that we continuously have to reassess the needs of our community and continue to update it as we need to. So with that, I will be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Great presentation. Councilmember Rabadi, please.
I really want to tell you how happy the holistic implementation approach that you've taken here makes me. I just want to add another piece of context around why things like this are important. And when I was in Rome, my daughter Brooke passed out in the Vatican. I don't speak Italian. Brooke does. She's fluent, but she was passed out, and it was very frightening. I didn't know how to get a doctor. There was nobody around me that spoke English. And it's always made me sad that we might have residents that feel the same way when they interact with our fire department, our police department. And so it really, really makes me happy that this is a focus for us. And you've done an amazing job, and our partners obviously have been supportive and wonderful. So I don't know if I really have a question. I just wanted to say that I'm really happy we're doing this. And and I'm just so happy always when Morrisville is a thought leader in these types of DEI initiatives and really makes our town more welcoming and inclusive. It's just, it was just so going in the right direction here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Councilmember Rao, please.
Yeah, just a fantastic presentation. I just really want to commend you and the staff for really focusing on inclusivity and the growth of our, obviously South Asian population. I guess my question is, to the extent as we grow this collaborative, the opportunities to collaborate with our technology department, because at the Connected Communities Conference just last week, Dell showcased a new AI tool named Clara, which was kind of a chatbot that would engage with local governments in different ways. And one of the things is AI, maybe some of the tools we're already using have AI apps embedded, but the machine learning could actually, if somebody called, the machine could actually understand who they were, where they were from, and would automatically translate it. So are those kinds of things that we could envision moving forward? I know it sounds a bit futuristic, but I think a lot of people are looking at where the AI could fit into these kinds of services to residents.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. So as I mentioned, all of our departments are very engaged in this process, and that includes our IT department. So our IT department is also engaged into this process, and part of our implementation will also to assess resources that will help us expand our library of resources, and that may include using technology to be able to get us there.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, followed by Councilmember Fender, please.
So Giselle, I really don't have a question either, but I just want to say thank you for all the work that you and our partners have put into this project and this collaborative for the past year. I really appreciate that. And thank you for the presentation tonight. I think it's really important for our citizens in our community to know what the work that is happening in the background and what you all are doing. So thank you for the presentation. And I'm going to echo what Councilmember Rabati said. I think if you travel around the world, not that I've traveled a lot, but when you're in a situation where you can't speak and you can't get the help you need or the directions you need or the feeling of isolation, I know that well, and I understand that. So I think that makes it even more important that we make sure our residents don't feel isolated and that they have the help and the resources they need. So thank you for the presentation tonight. Thank you all for being here too and all your hard work.
Thank you.
Councilmember Fender, followed by Councilmember Garamella, please.
Yeah, thank you, Giselle, for giving this presentation. I think it's great that we are doing this. My question is about the data. Yeah, I know we gathered the data about the percentage of our foreign-born population that's from India. Was it looked at any further to determine, like, out of that population, like what the percentage of the residents are that speak Hindi and which speak one of the other languages in India? Because it's my understanding Hindi is mostly in the northern India and other languages are spoken in southern India.
So we had a number of challenges with the data that we can get for the census. Morrisville is within 8 different census tracts, and there are portions that lay on census tracts that are recorded for other municipalities as well. So we had to interpret the data to the best of our abilities. Unfortunately, when we are looking at the languages that are spoken at home, the information that we have at the census for Morrisville specifically, it's based on those large language categories, the Indo-European or the Asian languages. So it doesn't allow us to see specifically how much of our population speak one language versus the other, specifically for Morrisville. If we look at census data, we will be able to gather that information for the Raleigh metropolitan area, which does include Raleigh, Cary, Morrisville, but it does group us with other municipalities, so we are unable to know specifically what portion of Morrisville population speak one language versus the other.
Okay. I'm just wondering if that data is maybe with some of the communities, like with the different nonprofit organizations, with the temples, that they would have a sense of what the percentages of Hindi spoken versus the other languages.
I'm not sure if Shushma has any information of any work they may have done in the past. So that it can be captured in the recording.
So Hindi is national language of India, but these are the regional languages. We haven't gone that far, but basically everybody knows little bit Hindi if you are from India. Some are very proficient and some know little bit because it's being a national language. But you do have a point. We can work on this to see what population is from South and what language is their preference. We can definitely include that if that matters to us.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I know we have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'd like to recognize Town Manager Zudema, please.
Councilmember Garamella has a comment to make in regards to that question.
Thank you very much. Councilmember
Yeah,
Garamella?
Hey, when this program started, even before we uh, engaged HVM, Martha came to me and said, how do we go about this? We had a brainstorming session, and to answer, Donna's answer, there are close to 25 different languages and close to 1,000 dialects in India. So it depends on place to place. Charlotte has more Gujaratis, Morrisville has more Telugus. But as Sushma said, the universal language that is predominantly and pretty popular is still Hindi. And we didn't want to vet one language over other language and wanted to have a common theme. And that was the reason why Hindi was selected, so that we can't cater to every state there, and so that's the reason Hindi was selected. And they asked which would be a better organization, and I recommended HVM because I can't think of a better organization which is dedicated for teaching Hindi and keeping the cultural roots. So that's how it started, and because it is almost impossible if we have to go down that route of which language is more spoken. We can sit for, we may have to do 20 languages, for all you know, because then it will cause a lot of internal rift. I think Hindi was the best way to go with representing what is needed.
Thank you, Councilmember Garamella. Did anyone else have any other questions? Councilmember Rabadi, did you have a follow-up? Okay. Yeah, this is great. It really shows that we're a welcoming and inclusive community. You've got a really strong team. I'm glad that you're keeping it together as we move forward. Thank you so much to HVM. So important to have people in the community buying into this and sharing and making it happen for us. We're looking forward to hearing the next steps in the new year and looking forward to supporting that. So thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you.
Okay, we're scheduled for a 15-minute break now. So why don't we go ahead and reconvene at 7:35, please.
I'm just confirming that the 2 remote members are back.
Okay, let me know.
Just give me a second.
Yeah, I'm here. We never left, yeah.
So we're coming back into order now. At this time, I'd like to recognize Deputy Town Clerk Hudson, who will present any public comments received.
Thank you, Mayor. We did receive one email public comment from Kevin O'Connor, 1001 Hemby Ridge Lane in Morrisville, sharing details about a fundraiser for Saturday, December 9th to raise funds for a family friend who was injured back in August. And we also have 3 individuals sign up for public comment here in person. The first is Laura Wygant. You're welcome to come to the microphone. Yes, ma'am.
So Laura, you'll have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your residential address for the record.
I'm Laura Wygant at 300 Benbow Court, Cary, North Carolina. Good evening, Town Council, Mayor, and everyone. I'm the Executive Director of Western Wake Tennis Association. We're the nonprofit tennis association that promotes the spirit and growth of tennis in Western Wake County, which obviously includes Morrisville. And I'm here tonight to basically just thank you for a couple of things. First of all, for the new courts at the community park. We appreciate your vision to provide those new courts for the community. But I also want to thank you for the partnership that we've enjoyed with the town of Morrisville ever since I've been involved with Western Wake Tennis, and that's been since 2010. Obviously, the town council and the town, but specifically the Park Recs and Cultural Resources staff that have been amazing. Mary Fawcett we're working with now, and then Kendall Smith, I believe I've been working with since I've been with Western Wake Tennis, and then Sarah Smith is our new contact, and they're amazing. wanted to just highlight something about tennis that I'm not sure if you know or not, but build them and they will come is not the tennis proposition. Build them, program them, and they will come, and that is the tennis proposition. Tennis is not as much of a walk-up sport as a lot of people think it is. People do walk up to the courts, but it really is more of a programmed sport. And currently in Morrisville. Currently, you're working with RDU Tennis and Impact U to provide youth opportunities. Western Wake Tennis does low-cost beginner programs and then adult league play, and those are revenue-generating programs. But by doing this and having this partnership, you're providing a lifelong opportunity. You can play tennis when you're 5 or 95, and honestly, I need to change that to 97 because my 97-year-old friend that plays 5 days a week probably wouldn't appreciate that I have him out of it at 95. It is a healthy sport, and so you are providing that for the community. There was a study that showed that tennis players on average live 9.7 years longer than people who did not play tennis, and that's average frequency of play about 2 to 3 times a week. The next sport down was badminton at 6.2. So it is a significant sport for the community, and you all are providing that to the community. I also wanted to say that when you opened Church Street Park, we provided some amenities, and we're also now working with Mary Fawcett to figure out what we can purchase for the community park so we can enhance the player experience. And then the other thing I wanted to thank you for was building the pickleball courts. That is a growing sport also. They need a place to play, and it's really not on the tennis courts. So it's really nice that you have a place for the pickleball people to play and a place for the tennis people to play, and that's doing a whole lot of healthy activity for your community at large. So I just wanted to thank you for what you do for the community, for everything, but specifically for tennis. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where 2024 brings us, and we really, really do appreciate the partnership that we have with the town of Morrisville. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Sandy and Mike Dwork. I apologize.
There's going to be a rezoning, talking about the rezoning tonight.
Yeah, so I think that you might want to speak towards the public hearing item.
Ask questions from the neighborhood after they speak. Is that okay?
Yes, if you want to speak to the rezoning, I can not speak for them, but ask questions of them. So we didn't have to move your name to speak during the public hearing that's slated for that rezoning item versus public comment, which is just your comments. Okay, that works. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
And just to set expectations, you can ask questions, but they won't be answered directly. Okay.
The last public comment individual signed up is Super Ready.
My name is Subba Reddy, 113 Elm Haven Way, Wexford. Good evening, Mayor and Town, councils and staff. I have 2 questions and 2 asks. This is more related to the smart shuttle. Thank you for facilitating this service for the town of Morrisville residents. First step. The question says, are there any studies or continuous review going on how well the smart shuttle is getting utilized given the budget or the funds? How many rides taking place, how empty it is? That's a question that if someone can help me to send email me, that will be helpful for me to prepare more on it and what the ask should be. Next, two things is asks. Can we have the more funds for the smart shuttle? Because there was when I was collaborating with the students or the senior citizens, or when I'm connecting with the friends in the parks, recreation areas. So there were 2 questions being asked. My kids doesn't have, one of the mom was asking, my kids doesn't have the smartphone, but how can my kid can call the smart shuttle to have the ride? So I was surprised. I know shuttle is smart programs design, but we was brainstorming in the smart city advisory committee also. What is the percentage versus smart city smartphone public and regular keypad phone public? So it's a good to ask in the town councils, can we assign some funds analysis to help that kind of even 1% as also. We don't want leave the kids or the maybe there could be some senior citizens who are still using the keypad based phones. How can we help them to utilize this smart shuttle? So that is, can we facilitate some funds to run that analysis and facilitate the keypad based calling the smart shuttle? Second one is, I know there was also some more was asking, can we increase the smart shuttle stops throughout the Morrisville, if that will be helpful for the students, because it's a specific request came from the students when I was talking. Those are the two asks. And I'm looking forward the communication in the email or somehow for me so that I can better answer to the answer for them. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Obviously, the council hears public address, as does our staff, and they're generally very responsive when they have questions like that. So thank you. Was there anyone here in the room who failed to sign up who would like to speak on public address for up to 3 minutes on any subject of your choosing, other than the public hearing items, which are coming up later tonight? Okay. Seeing none, thank you very much. We're going to move on to our public hearings. There are 2 public hearing items on this evening's agenda related to a proposed economic incentive grant agreement with Forge Battery Incorporated and a Town Center Phase 1 Main Street Plan Development rezoning. Brandon Zudema, Town Manager, will facilitate the first public hearing item. Town Manager.
Good evening again. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I would like to recognize Sam Roth, who's with us from Wake County Economic Development, has been very helpful in supporting me through this process and making sure that we're crossing the T's and dotting the I's. So thank you for being here, and thank you for all the support that we get, not just on this project, but routinely from Wake County Economic Development. So we're here this evening to request your authorization of an incentive grant agreement with Forge Battery Incorporated. That also requires a public hearing to be open tonight for that approval. Just a quick overview. This was heard by council back in the summer in a closed session. Since that time, the Forge Battery Incorporated, has in fact selected a site at 401 Southport Drive here in Morrisville to bring their coated lithium rechargeable battery facility. Again, Forge Battery is a leading materials science company that enables peak performance products through atomic level surface engineering. So through this agreement, they are indicating that they will employ a minimum of 190 new jobs with an average annual wage of at least $82,100. They have also proposed a minimum investment of $142 million. $122 million of that will occur in the first 3 years of the agreement. Based on that proposal and meeting the requirements of our incentive policy, they would be eligible for an incentive of $1,420,000 in grant payments, beginning no earlier than 2025, assuming they meet their requirements, and being paid over 8 years of 8 equal payments of $177,500. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions you have and/or ask you to go to a public hearing.
Does anyone have any questions before we open the public hearing? Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone signed up for the public hearing on this item? Please, Deputy Town Clerk.
No one was signed up for this public hearing.
Okay, was there anyone here in the audience who failed to sign up who would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 5-0. At this time, does anyone have any other questions of staff? Okay, I'd entertain a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-437-0. Attorney Gray, does she need to read the whole thing, or is that sufficient?
I think that's sufficient.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously as well. Thank you very much for joining us tonight and for your help. Town Manager Zudema, great job. We
Thank you.
welcome another new business into town.
Correct. Very exciting.
Thank you. At this time, Michelle Stiegel, Planning Director, will facilitate the next item.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. I'm excited to be presenting the Town Center Main Street Plan Development rezoning to you this evening. Before I get into kind of the standard presentation, I did just want to take a moment and acknowledge all the work that has gone into this project over the years by yourselves and by both current and past staff. This is a project that has been long awaited. I think you know that it's had some starts and stops, and so it's exciting to see it reach this milestone and looking forward to the development of the town center. So the rezoning request is being made by Sing Development. The property in question is currently zoned Main Street, conditional Main Street, town center residential, and office institutional. The land is currently developed with the Healthy Food Hub, the library, and is also partially undeveloped. Proposed uses include the town green and a mixed-use building. That town green does include cottage retail. If you look at the aerial on the overhead, you'll see both a blue outline that's outlining blocks A, B, and C, and then a red outline. The blocks that are outlined in blue are really the areas that have been discussed in terms of development agreement, but the rezoning lines you'll see are slightly different than that. They do extend out further, largely because we're attempting to follow lot lines to the extent possible, and you are also including an area of existing roads and planned new roads. The property is owned by the town of Morrisville, and again, our partner in the project is Sing Development. The town is continuing to work on a development agreement with Sing, and that is anticipated to come before you sometime in the spring. Approximate acreage of the rezoning request is 16 acres. And just a little bit of information about some of the surrounding land uses. Generally speaking, to the north, east, and west are residential uses, and to the south and southeast, you also have OI zoning and the town center campus, town hall campus. As part of the February 2021 land use plan update, a sub-area plan for the town center was developed. That plan calls for the creation of a mixed-use walkable downtown to create a destination for Morrisville, a sense of place, and to help enhance Morrisville's identity. Focus is on developing active commercial uses along Carolina Street, supported by higher density residential, office, and civic facilities. The plan also talks about the creation of a town green to offer opportunities for events and recreation, and also encourages the consolidation of parking into shared parking facilities. And you will see all of those aspects built into this rezoning proposal. Did also just want to briefly show one of the images from the 3D visualizations that was done as part of the town center plan. So town center phase 1 rezoning is a planned Main Street plan development rezoning, which means that the applicant submits a plan development plan and agreement that modifies typical UDO standards to allow for a unique development such as town center. This type of rezoning does provide increased flexibility for the applicant and additional certainty for the town in terms of the development that will occur. Park West Village is an example of an existing planned development district in the town. As a part of the planned development agreement and rezoning, there are a number of principal uses and accessory uses that are set forth in the planned development agreement that was in your packets. Just to note a few of the principal uses that are proposed, they include community garden, multifamily, government service offices, bars, lounges, restaurants, retail, hotel. Also, a number of accessory uses proposed, including art, murals, EV charging stations, and others. So with the planned development rezoning, the dimensional standards, or what we refer to in the planning world as the bulk standards, are set forward with that planned development agreement. So just to go over some of those proposed standards with you, and I'm focusing on block A and C. I'll talk to you more in a little bit about block B, which is not yet fully programmed out. But for block A 20,000 square foot lot size is proposed. That is a fairly standard lot size for our non-residential areas in Morrisville. And block C proposing 1,200 square feet. That is smaller than typical, but proposed to accommodate the cottage retail that would occur in the town green area. The maximum proposed building height is 75 feet. There are no minimum setbacks proposed, but really looking within this district to have buildings up to the street to the extent possible, with a lot of the parking located within garages. In terms of the required parking, Sing Development did work with Kimberly Horn and conducted a parking study, and based on the results of that study, are proposing that 365 parking spaces be required for block A, and that 84 parking spaces be required for block C. In block A, there's currently a parking garage planned. That parking garage is currently anticipated to have 524 spaces. So for block A, there would be approximately 159 spaces above and beyond that proposed requirement. Block C, we're currently looking at 64 spaces that are currently planned. So that is shy of the 84 space requirement. However, there are alternative parking provisions in the UDO that we do anticipate using at the time of site plan that allow up to 25% of those spaces to be provided on the street. That would give us 21 spaces potentially, get us to the 84, or we could do shared parking in the garage that has excess spaces as well. So this is an image that I know council is familiar with, kind of the sketch plan proposed with the rezoning. So block A, what you're looking at is an apartment and mixed-use building with a plaza, and the town green, including cottage retail, stage, plaza, water feature, education garden, as well as a number of other features. Block B, again, is not yet programmed. Therefore, we are anticipating that Sing Development would need to come back with a planned development amendment when they are ready to move forward with Block B. So you would see a sketch plan of that block at that time. Right now, I think council is aware that at least preliminary plans for that block include some non-residential and townhomes. We are anticipating that there could be a potential need for some of that parking to be met in the garage. So again, we have excess spaces in that garage based on the proposed parking, and we could look into that further if needed when we have more certainty as to what is proposed in Block B. So again, Block A, a maximum of 215 multifamily units are proposed. A minimum of 10,000 square feet of ground floor non-residential, a plaza, and structured parking. Within Block A, The agreement does indicate areas on Block A that would be labeled as primary frontages and secondary frontages. So if you look at the area highlighted in red, those areas are primary frontages. And when you look at the permitted ground floor uses, non-residential use would be required along those primary frontages. Non-residential use would include amenity space and or leasing offices. And then the secondary frontages could also be used for non-residential, but could be used for residential as well. There are also contained in the petitioner's application some massing diagrams of the building on Block A, so you could see those. The one on the left in yellow is what would primarily be the multifamily building, with the mixed-use building shown on the right. You will also see the library in the diagram, and then if you look over towards the mixed-use building, see kind of a single story with a step back, and so that's kind of a way of trying to address that transition from the library, which wouldn't have as much height necessarily as the rest of the building, so starting to transition that up. And then once you get across to Block C, anticipating that building height to go up. So with the plan development agreement, there were a number of what I'll refer to as deviations from the UDO related to the architectural standards. I'll just highlight a few of them. But one was that fiber cement siding be permitted as a predominant material, that all building materials may extend to the ground. Typically, buildings do have to provide a 3-foot skirting of brick, stone, or rock, and that Juliet balconies be permitted on up to 50% of the multifamily units rather than full balconies. Again, Block B is currently not programmed, so we'll come back to you at a future time with a plan development agreement when a sketch plan for that block is developed. And then Block C, which is the town green and the event lawn, just to note again, stage, cottage retail, plaza, sign, water feature, a lot of great amenities planned for the town green space. For deviations from the architectural standards in Block C, there are some deviations proposed for the retail cottage. One is that glazing and other high-quality, long-lasting materials will be permitted as predominant or non-predominant materials, so basically glass. Also allowing wood to be used in some areas that would be protected from ease of vandalism, so above, pedestrian level, and there were some additional provisions built in as well in case there was vandalism, carving, other things, so that we had additional code enforcement to deal with that. And then similar to Block A, all building materials would be permitted to extend to the ground. And then these are just some sample images of cottage retail development that were included in Singh's application packet. With the proposed rezoning, unique cross-sections or road cross-sections are also proposed throughout the town center. So want to touch on those, and there are several, so please bear with me. On Carolina Street, and this is the segment of Carolina that would abut the town green. So on the south side next to the town green, looking at a 10-foot multi-use path, and that would provide an east-west connection between the Sawmill Creek and Indian Creek greenways, and also a 8-foot pedestrian path. And then on the north side of the street, you will see a 4-foot landscape and street furniture zone, another 8-foot pedestrian path, and then this 10-foot area here is a private area, but anticipating outdoor seating and other kinds of amenities that those businesses could use that area for. Throughout all of Carolina, you're looking at 2 lanes of traffic, parallel parking on both sides. So as you would move further down Carolina Street, a similar cross section, again, 2 lanes of traffic, parallel parking both sides. That multi-use path continues down Carolina, and you're seeing an 8-foot wide pedestrian path on both sides, and that 4-foot street furniture and landscape zone. Foxglove Drive extension is proposed to be a unique street. It is designed with special events in mind that would utilize a no curb option to allow for ease of pedestrian use. So really looking at this street that could be a multi-purpose area and utilized during special events and turn into more of a gathering space. And then that portion of Foxglove that would go through what is now the parking lot behind the PSMS building, you're looking at more of a traditional 2-lane street with the parking beside that. The new proposed street connecting Jeremiah and Carolina is a fairly typical cross section, but you do maintain wider 8-foot wide sidewalks. And then along Town Hall Drive, adjacent to the green, looking to narrow that from 2 lanes to 1 lane and add some parallel parking there adjacent to the town green. There are a number of proposed conditions with the rezoning. I will preface this by saying that a lot of these are designed to kind of create checkpoints with SING development as we move forward. So this is a rezoning. After the rezoning is approved, the SING would move into the site plan phase. That site plan review is an administrative staff-only review. But since this is a public-private partnership, there's a lot of interest in this project, and it's a very important project to the town. We did want to make sure that we had those touch points on different aspects of the plan moving forward. So as I go through the conditions, you'll see a number of those. But the first condition is a fairly standard condition that the development shall be subject to the plan development narrative and the sketch plan. The second one is that the final design and materials to be used for the public streetscape shall be reviewed and approved by the town prior to site plan approval. So with the plan development, you do have typical cross sections for those streets proposed, but the materials for the streetscape have yet to be determined. I'll say that those material selections are extremely important when it comes to that pedestrian experience and creating a sense of place. And so we definitely wanted to make sure that the town council was able to weigh in, and there's obviously the cost component to that as well. And with a normal development, if you're meeting the code, even roads that are to be dedicated to the town afterwards, you're meeting the CTP, you're meeting the EDCM, we approve it and move on. So again, just building in that checkpoint. The next one, the final design and materials to be used for the stage and any other structures or amenities in Block C that are to be dedicated to and maintained by the town shall be reviewed and approved by the town prior to site plan approval. Condition number 4 relates to 2 anticipated on-street loading areas. There is on the sketch plan a loading area that's conceptually shown along Jeremiah and another one on Foxglove. So just like we would put parking restrictions on streets, looking at the specific location and standards related to the days and times of the week that those spaces could be utilized. In relation to Parkland PIL, I believe council is aware that as part of this partnership, the land that would be the town green is being dedicated back to the town, but that does not meet all of the Parkland dedication requirement. So we are estimated that they would still owe approximately $189,000 in Parkland PIL. Prior to submittal of a site plan application for development on Block B, again, they would come back for an amendment. The design materials dimensions of the signage anticipated at the northwest corner of Block C, that be reviewed. There are some deviations from the sign code in the plan development agreement, but we think that the sign at that corner may go even beyond that. So that gives us an opportunity to take another look at that as well. Block A, again, this is an administrative staff review. So as part of a typical process, you would not see that building until, a site plan was approved, a shovel was in the ground. But building in a checkpoint where seeing development would come meet with town council at a work session and show you their plans for the building on Block A. If the town finds it necessary that a fire apparatus turnaround shall be provided at the end of Scoggins Avenue. I will also note that part of Scoggins Avenue does extend into Foxglove Drive and the town green. So in January, we'll also be bringing forward to you an abandonment of part of Scoggins to accommodate the project. That the town of Morrisville and Wake County work to develop a temporary parking plan to serve the Morrisville Library. And then the last condition is really a clarifying condition with some of the title work. There were some questions about the previously approved alternative equivalent compliance application for the library, and this just clarifies that approval would remain valid. So the Planning and Zoning Board did review the request at public comment sessions on October 12th and November 9th, and they recommended approval by a vote of 5-0. Staff is recommending approval of the requested Main Street Plan Development rezoning because the requested zoning map amendment initiates the implementation of the town center sub-area plan. And I could talk about that a little bit more, but it does meet a lot of the action items and recommendations in the land use plan and furthers those goals. So this rezoning is scheduled for a public hearing tonight. It is also scheduled for a public hearing on January 9th and then potential action on January 23rd when we anticipate that you would make a motion on the proposed ordinance and rezoning. And that is all I have. If town council has any questions, happy to try and address them. We do also have a number of members of the SING team here in the audience available for questions as well.
Thank you very much. Very thorough. We'll have a chance for questions now. We'll ask if SING has anything they want to add. Then we'll open the public hearing, hear from them, and then have more chance for more questions. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rabati first. Okay. Councilmember Fender?
Yeah, Michelle, I had a couple questions regarding just some terminology. If I can go back here. On slide 8, where it talks about proposed rezoning continued. On a couple of these items here, I just wanted to clarify what these were. So the one 19 utility facility minor, like what would be an example of that?
So you're not talking about a substation or transmission lines or sanitary sewer facility, public work, anything like that. Those would be major facilities. So your minor facilities, they're going to be like your electrical boxes and just kind of your small things.
Okay, all right. And then the other one was the last one there, 38. What would be an example of custom manufacturing that would be allowed in that area?
Custom manufacturing is more akin to tradesman's type of work. So jewelry making, glass blowing, things that you would do by hand.
Okay. So like even, like if someone had a t-shirt shop, graphic t-shirts where they were.
That could fall in that category.
Okay. So not a full-fledged manufacturing.
No, it would all have to be done by tradesmen and done by hand.
Okay. And then another question I had was under the accessory uses, what is number 8, a cluster box unit?
So you see those more in your residential subdivisions, the joint mailboxes. So
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's just simply a mailbox?
Yes.
Okay. And then my question here was, what is meant by number 16, home occupation as an accessory?
So home occupation is a permitted accessory use pretty much in every zoning district. It could be a home office used for any variety of things, but there are standards that you need to meet. One appointment at a time, you could only use a certain percentage of a residential unit. But it's meant for more of those home offices working from home, but it does allow for some appointments.
Okay. So in this case, the likelihood of something like that is
It's
nearly zero.
It's probably pretty small. You need to have a designated space. So if you had a 2-bedroom unit, maybe one of the bedrooms could be used for some sort of workspace. But probably when you're dealing with a multifamily development, it's limited.
Yeah, I mean, will that allow appointments in the townhomes that are being built or in the apartments?
It could. And you could only have one appointment at a time if my memory is right on the home occupation standards.
Okay. All right. Oh, and I had a question on the Block A design in the pictures that were shown there. Was there anything specific that the pictures were trying to show? I mean, you hit on the Juliet style balconies, but I was just curious if there was anything else in the style of these pictures.
No, the diagrams that were included with the application were really intended to show massing and scale. What is anticipated, although there's a 75-foot height proposed, capped at 215 units. So this thing is talking about a 4-story building. And then if you go into some of the architectural standards kind of that are proposed with the rezoning and that are already part of the code, a lot of masonry, that fiber cement siding could potentially be allowed. They have, so our predominant materials have to be used on 75% of the building. And so there are a variety of masonry materials that are options, and then they've added in the fiber cement. Their planned development agreement, they are proposing that they would hold themselves to 30% brick. But beyond those kinds of architectural standards with materials, and there is the one with the balconies, we really don't know what these buildings are going to look like yet, which is part of the reason that Singh has agreed to come in and kind of show you some preliminary designs at a work session.
Okay. I have 2 more questions. So what is the purpose of eliminating the requirement of providing the 3-foot skirting of brick, stone, or rock?
I
So
think
why
that's-
eliminate that?
I think that's just for flexibility, particularly on the cottage retail. Those are smaller buildings, so those are unique. But they are also asking for it on the Block A building, and I don't know if Singh wants to respond at all.
Your name and role for the record, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Todd Rankin with Sing Development. And just to build off of what Michelle had said it's just to build in some flexibility. It really is our intent to run masonry over, like Michelle said, over more than 30% of the buildings. But it's in a way to give us some flexibility on those cottage retail primarily. But on building A, we are committed to a large section of masonry. And we really are not going to run a product down to the grade that does not weather well and hold up to those kinds of adverse conditions. So it's really just to design in some flexibility.
Okay. And then the last question was regarding the streetscape. I've noticed, what's currently around the Morrisville Community Library with that brickwork for the crosswalks, and then it outlines the sidewalks. Will that design extend further with the town center, or are we gonna end up doing something different?
I think that's yet to be decided. The current UDO standards do require the concrete and the brick banding in that area. Through the PD agreement, they've asked for more flexibility. I think you probably want a more unique streetscape in this area, so you might want to consider doing something a little different. I know Public Works also isn't a fan of maintenance of that banding, but you have flexibility to talk about what materials you want for the streetscape, to look at that budget as we go forward.
Okay. I definitely like that look of the brick, and that area is unique from the rest of Town Hall, so I like that some sort of different design there. But I was curious of whether we were gonna keep that style or end up doing something different. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Rabati, please.
Like a outdoor restaurant or something, or what exactly would be in this step down? Would it just be like I'm trying to picture in my mind what it would look like, and I just can't get there.
Yeah, there is the opportunity to do some sort of rooftop activity in that area of the building, and I think that that's what's envisioned. And again, I don't want to necessarily speak for the applicant about their plans, but we're transitioning from the library, kind of working our way up to that next block over. And so, but I think we're anticipating that space to be programmed.
Okay.
And that is correct. That would be a roof deck, a roof garden area as an amenity to the multifamily. So that's really what it is we have some club areas up there and also some units that would have some expanded decks that they could look out onto the park area.
So this would not be like a lounge open to residents, or this would be an amenity for the apartments?
Yes, for the residents, right. So there would not be any mechanical equipment, anything like that on that lower roof area.
Okay, but it also wouldn't be, it's for apartment building residents, not town residents, like I'm not gonna go there and
Correct.
have dinner with my husband. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, that's what we want to have all of the residents of the community to use the town green for those types of uses.
Sure. And then, Michelle, could you I know that you've been talking about this, and I just want to be really clear. Can you explain to me exactly how much control we have over what these buildings will actually look like, and at what point we would talk about that?
So with the town green, you're gonna have control. And even though we've built in architectural standards and deviations from those standards with the plan development agreement, Parks and Recreation has been involved in looking at those standards as well. We have still worked with Sing. You have a proposed condition of approval that even if these architectural standards are gonna be met, the town has final review and approval over those amenities on the town green and what they're gonna look like. With Building A, not as much. Again, this is going to go into a site plan review as the next phase. You'll have that touch point at a work session to kind of comment and give Sing your thoughts, but if the code requirements are met, we would be legally obligated to approve it.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
I just had a couple of things. I'd like to say that whatever we could do that would make amenities open to all the residents of the town, I'm always in favor of that. So I know it's kind of like on Park West, the district right above the area. It would be nice if everyone could use those. The fact that they can't isn't as great. On the same slide, though, I had a question. I'm not sure which way is south, but I know that the library is planning to put solar panels on. Would this upper floor perhaps block that? Would that be an issue? So that's just something to look into. And then on slide 24, we can move to that. I just had a quick question. I think you mentioned the slide on the left there that we're going to lose a travel lane and put parallel parking there. So I'm just looking at site distances and the curve. Does that mean that all traffic will stop when someone's parallel parking there? Is there a way to not have it be that thin on that side? Because that's just going to be a bog.
I think if parallel parking goes there, there's no preventing, stopping traffic as someone is backing up, pulling into a space. I guess the question would be, is parallel parking in that location something that the town council desires?
Because
the TIA did recommend removing that slip lane at least on the traffic circle, but and this kind of narrowed it down, kind of leading towards that. But we could talk more about the parallel parking on Town Hall.
So I'd be interested
desire of
because
the group.
the other direction is still 2 lanes, right?
Yes.
So if we made the other direction 1 lane, unless we're putting parallel parking on that side too, we could have a travel lane and not be stopping traffic. So 2 lanes on the right, essentially 3, 1 parking lane and 2 others. I know that's expensive to lose the median, but just in general, it might be better to not stop traffic along that major roadway. Because it's overbuilt now, but if we close it for every couple of minutes for someone to park, it's going to be a pain. Those were the comments that I had at this point, but that's a lot of work already into this. So we really appreciate everything that you guys are doing, and the team behind the scenes. Appreciate that. So if there's no more questions now, why don't we go ahead and open the public hearing and hear what people have to say, and then we can ask more questions of staff or Sing. So I'm going to declare the public hearing open at this time. If Deputy Town Clerk Hudson can let us know who signed up.
Sandy and Mike Dwork.
And just FYI, for public hearings, we're going to continue this. You get 1 chance to speak on a public hearing. So if you speak this time, maybe someone else will speak from your group next time or something like that. But we appreciate you coming out. Your name and your residential address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Sandy Dwork. I live at 11221 Jeremiah Street. Basically, we are in charge of the HOA over there. So we asked a lot of the residents if they had any questions or concerns, that we would be coming tonight as we went to the rezoning meeting a month ago. We just want to keep in the loop, obviously, because this is a street away from us. The biggest concerns that they had or questions was about the parking. Like tonight, when we all came here to the community hall, you can see, as you said, you had an issue of having to go outside. We are dealing with, in Church Street, 32 parking areas for those 80 homes already. We are using Jeremiah as well, which is only 9 spots. In saying that, we already have issues with parking. It's probably one of our biggest concerns of complaints in our neighborhood. We have residents that are coming from over Church Street already, those townhomes that are already existing, using parking areas within our community. So I know that there's a parking garage proposed. With that said, you have over 200 and some odd residents that are going to be adding to the community. Yes, you're going to have a parking garage, but if you times a resident times, usually they carry 2 cars there per household. That's how many cars using up your parking garage already. What we experienced recently during your 4th of July event for the 2nd year is that the community used our neighborhoods as basically parking everywhere, in front of driveways, using our lawns. It was hectic. It was very hectic. We heard a lot of complaints. And so, in turn, the HOA had to put up tow signs so that we could have some kind of ordinance when the future events happen. We are very excited, don't get me wrong. We're very excited about all of the future development. But with that growth, we've also had additional problems. There is 1 speed bump currently on Jeremiah. 1 was taken up for some reason. We've addressed it, and that concern has not been addressed yet. There is no speed bump. Why that is a concern is we have a lot of speeding going through the community. So what we are asking is for, since there is a proposed apartment going in, could we please, like they have up on, I don't know the exact street, but I think you all know where I'm talking about, the stop signs with the lid up that make an awareness to the public that they need to stop on Foxglove and Jeremiah there, which will be a major traffic thing. Right now, you have coming off a Town Hall Drive down Jeremiah, a direct run with only 1 speed bump over here. And we've had a few instances that have been close calls with young children and people just basically walking their dogs. They're not doing 20, 25. They're flying through there. So if you're adding traffic and more business, then we're going to have to address those growth issues as it goes, because it is a concern within community now. So thank you. I appreciate you listening to our concerns, and we look forward to everything that's coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else signed up? Is there anyone else in the room who would like to speak on this subject? Okay.
My name is Subba Reddy, again, 113 Elm Heaven Way. I like the development in the town, and thank you for that. It's nice plan. So while listening that, I had noted down these points. I had the same question about, as he mentioned. As part of the TAA, was there any study to understand what is the required parking for the regular timing and special events time? Because we've been noticing as a Morrisville resident, when there is a special occasions going on, I agree with her, parking is nightmare. And we get the calls and we get the messages somewhere if, hey, my parking, my garage area is blocked, or our swimming pool area is blocked out. So was there any study and how we are going to address this excessive parking stuff? And second point is, that is very sensitive point again. So I want to stress on that one. If next time, if anybody comes up with the TAA study, we need more explanation on that one, how we are going to simplify that. I leave it there. Second one is, I like the design and the parking and designing the multi-lanes and single lane, but in where is the bike track? Because that is a more essential. Our town is very small, radius wise, if the kids are the family members, they want to go to the library, they want to go to the shopping area using the bikes, greenery way, where is that? I don't see in the design the bike tracks. I know we do talk a lot of time the green spaces and green track, but there is no emphasis on that one. I'm wondering in the planning zoning committee also didn't address that because it's a five approved that. So thank you. I'm looking forward the response to better understand. Thank you.
Was there anyone else in the audience who wanted to speak on this subject? Okay. I do ceasing. So if we have any more questions of staff or the developers, now would be a good time. I'd like to ask a question real quick, essentially of Singh or of both our staff. We've been trying to encourage more engagement with neighborhoods as things are going on. Was there a neighborhood meeting with Jeremiah Street people or Down and Glen or anything like that recently or in the past 6 months to a year? It sounds like it might be an idea to go ahead and meet with the HOA group if possible, as a possible suggestion to hear those directly. I would like to hear, I'd like to see in an email form all the comments that were given so that those are captured for the record. You could send that to town council and or public hearings at Morrisville. nc.gov. So those are my thoughts there. Because hearing directly from people, especially people who support it but want to make it better, I think helps everyone as we move this along. That's pretty much all I have. I mean, parking is an issue. I think the way I think about parking special events, they're going to be challenging no matter what. And people are going to park badly sometimes. The public parking areas that were mentioned, are those town streets back in Jeremiah and that neighborhood, or are those private? I guess I'm asking staff that.
So the required parking that we're talking about would either need to be in the garage or in parking lots. On-street parking isn't typically counted towards your parking requirements. So in addition to, I think it was the 365 required for the garage and the 84 required for the town green area, you're going to have a parallel parking on all of the streets. So there's going to be additional parking available beyond what's just in the garage. In terms of special events, the parking study did not necessarily look at special events. Those could be handled in a number of different ways. It looked at more typical demand, but it did study parking in a variety of different ways, one of which was looking at what standard UDO requirements would be. And our standard UDO requirements would actually only require 4 spaces for the town green and then a few extra for the cottage retail. So their study came in recommending a much higher number than our UDO already. Also just wanted to respond to one of the questions about bicycles and bike racks. Again, you're going to have that greenway connection with the bike lane going down Carolina. But there are within the plan development agreement, and it's a good 30 pages. So just tried to provide an overview of some of the sections. But on Block A, 25 bicycle parking spaces, 15 in the multifamily building and 10 outdoors, and then 15 bike rack spaces required for the town green as well.
Okay. Speaking of bikes, it'd be great to have a bicycle repair station near some of those racks. Be nice to have some of those in town. I was kind of more specifically the Jeremiah neighborhood, feeling other people using their parking spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Are those public streets and public parking spaces, or?
On Jeremiah, that's public parking that could be used by anyone.
Okay. And were there some other devoted spaces within the neighborhood for parking, and those are also public streets, public space? Those are private. So you guys can manage those using towing and stuff. Okay, because I know some neighborhoods in Raleigh, they have like only residents can park even on the public streets. So I don't think we want to go there, but if it was such an issue, that would be something to think about. Okay, thank you for all the answers of the other things. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rao, followed by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
I was just curious, and I can't remember from our initial discussions, but the parking in the garages, would that be just free parking or would that be paid parking?
So right now, I believe that's anticipated to be free parking, and I'm looking at Brandon, who is nodding. Okay.
All right. Because I noticed in Cary's downtown, the parking is free, but like in downtown Raleigh, but it might be different because it's such a the capital city, pretty much all the parking is paid parking, every parking garage. But I mean, I guess that's just because it's a bigger city and people are going in there for business and complete office and everything. So would that change, or right now it's planned to be just general? Okay. Okay. I was just curious. Thank you.
Anything else, sir? Okay.
No, that's it for
Mayor
now.
Pro Tem Johnson, please.
So the only other comment I'm going to make here tonight, right now, because we'll have time to discuss this again in January, is the fact that you've built in that council will have some more touch points on this project as we move through it. And I really appreciate that. You know, this is an important project to council. It's clearly an important project to the public. In all the projects that I've been associated with over the years here in the town of Morrisville, this is the one that has received the most input. And I'm going back now, and Michelle's right. This is a project that's been out there for many years. I want decades, unfortunately. So, but it's that. This is the project where even early on, there was a great deal of interest. There was a great deal of support. Of course, obviously, we all want to make sure that it's successful for all of us. So, so again, I just appreciate the touch points for council as we move through this process. I think that's going to be really important.
Seeing no other questions, as was mentioned by Director Stiegel, we're continuing the public hearing on January 9th. We're planning to take action on January 23rd. If we don't have a lot of questions on the 9th, is it possible that this group might be amenable to taking action on the 9th as well? Just want to possibly set the expectation to give staff even more time to keep things moving.
So I think we always have, that's always an option for us to do that. I think we've advertised the dates here, and I think continue advertising them, to tell you my opinion, but I think we could do that on the 9th for sure.
Okay, so like possible action on the 9th is what I want to advertise to people so they know that would be what I'm asking of this group. Or do we really just want to do it on the 23rd?
Well, I'll add one more comment. Since we have two council members that are not here, I want to make sure they have the opportunity to ask their questions. I mean, I know they can now virtually as well, but when they're present. But that's my only other comment.
Okay, so I sort of planted the seed, but we can do it if we want, but we're still keeping everything staying the way we are. Does staff or the developer have any other things they'd like to add at this time? Other than happy holidays to everybody, I'm sure? Okay, perfect, great. Director Stiegel, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. We are scheduled for a break. So let's go ahead and reconvene again at 8:58, please. Okay, we're at item 11. There's one action item on this evening's agenda.
To see if it stops.
that work?
Okay. There is one action item on this evening's agenda, a resolution appointing advisory committee members, winter 2023. We're getting a little bit of an echo from somewhere. Is anyone else on the Teams meeting?
Test, test, test.
Should we just break for 5?
Test, test, test.
Okay, I think we're good now. Okay, so there is one action item on this evening's agenda, a resolution appointing advisory committee members for winter 2023. Erin Hudson, Deputy Town Clerk, will facilitate the item. Ms. Hudson.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, if I could
Yes.
interject before Aaron gets started, if that's
Sure.
all right. So you all are aware of it, but in the interest of transparency for the listeners and for our residents and community, we learned yesterday that there was an oversight on the ballots that were sent out in regards to this item. As soon as we learned about that, we went back and Aaron spent time verifying who was missing off of a ballot. Again, we apologize for that. It was a staff oversight, but those were corrected. Those were resent out to all council members. All council members acknowledged them. All council members reviewed the candidates that were not previously listed on the ballot and then resubmitted their ballots. And as a result of that, we have all candidates who have been considered for the committees that they applied for. And so the recommendations or the results of that voting that you have completed from Aaron are accurate and complete as of now.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate staff's hard work on this effort. Back to you.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I'm pinch hitting for Eric this evening, so he has done the majority of this work, and I've just sort of helped put things together and tie a bow around them. So just in summary, your recruitment period for this advisory committee's period of appointment was from October 2nd to November 8th. Members who submitted applications during that time period, as well as anyone who had an application on file from the last year, was considered for appointment, including those that were inadvertently overlooked. Eric also reached out via phone, and 2 reminder emails were sent to those who had advisory committee terms expiring in November and early December to determine if they were interested in applying for reappointment or if they were going to let their term expire and not continue on. So everyone has been communicated with at least once, if not more than once. So really quickly, just wanted to let you know that of all of the vacancies that were provided on your vacancy review list that Eric shared, all of the committees, with the exception of Performance Advisory Committee and the Public Education Advisory Committee, have essentially received what I'm just going to refer to as a full complement of appointments at this time. The Performance Measures Advisory Committee has 6 vacancies. Only 4 applications were received, and only 2 of those applicants received enough votes to move forward. So they still have 4 vacancies remaining. And the Public Education Advisory Committee had 5 vacancies. 1 of those was from District 3. There were no District 3 applicants, so only 4 appointments are going to be seen on your final appointment resolution. For your Planning and Zoning Board appointments, the alternate and regular member are both going to be filling the remainder of partially vacated terms from previous members. So you'll see that their appointment terms are going to be very different looking from all of the other appointment terms. And my apologies, you cannot see the full resolution because I'm not connected to my own system here, but I'm happy to read off to you all of the applicants that were selected by your ballot votes. Okay, so for the Environment and Stormwater Committee, Donna Catalini, Angela Easter, Sunil Mishra, James Simmons, Rajani Verghese, and Michelle Wright have been selected. For Parks and Recreation, Joshi Abirajan, Bob Butler, and Kim Knox have been selected. For Performance Measures Advisory Committee, Jesse Asoria and Vahini Pandyarajan have been selected. For Planning and Zoning Board, Sushma Pradhan has been selected as the alternate member, and Kristen Richardson has been selected as the regular member. For Public Education Advisory Committee, Saruchi Dave, Faith Devon, Sijun Wu, and Rishi Zalani have been selected. For Public Safety Advisory Committee, Valerie Bednars, James Metzko, Ranga Sankar, Maharajan Shunmugam, Mark Tolchinsky, and Danette Vicente have been selected. For the Senior Advisory Committee, Sampada Agarwal, Joyce Day, Barbara Meager, Loretta Moskal, Michael Schlink, and Joy Red Skinner have been selected. And for the Smart City Steering Committee, John Briggs and Chris Nguyen have been selected. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Comment?
Just a comment. Can you email us that, please?
Absolutely.
At your earliest convenience. Thank you, Aaron.
And the question, when and how will these applicants be notified, the people who did get appointed and people who did not?
I believe that Town Clerk Smith has indicated he'll be notifying folks within the next week. I believe he's back in the office tomorrow, so I won't presume to speak for him, but I believe that's what he shared when he and I last spoke. So they'll be notified within the next, I'd say, several days.
Okay, because do any of those committees meet very soon? Maybe
Correct.
we could prioritize those if possible. Okay. If there's no other questions or comments, is there a motion and a second? I'll recognize Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointments as spoken by Aaron Hudson tonight.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries 5-0 unanimously. Thank you very much for all the hard work, and thank you to Town Clerk Smith as well.
Thank you.
There is one new item on this evening's agenda, a resolution accepting DOJ grant funding for a police department detective. Brandon Zudema, Town Manager, will facilitate the item.
Thank you again, Mayor. Good evening again. So this is in reference to during the development of the FY24 budget, Martha shared with you that there was an opportunity to apply for a COPS grant for the police department to partially fund the domestic violence investigator that had been requested the last couple of fiscal years. So the discussion at the time with you is that if you were willing to support that, that we would allow them to apply, and then if that grant was awarded, you would make the appropriate adjustments mid-year to accept that grant and to fund it the life of the grant. This grant also requires it to be held a minimum of 1 year beyond the 3 years of funding. So that is the case. Good news that the police department did excellent work in completing their application, and they have been awarded this grant. So again, this is a 3-year grant that begins this fiscal year, would run for 2 additional fiscal years, and then so in FY27, it would become a regular town-funded position. This would take the police department from 47 sworn officers to 48 sworn officers. The amount of funding is $125,000 over the course of the 3 years. That's simply divided up 3 ways to $41,666. So for FY24, assuming a January 1st of 24 start date, the cost would be $52,000, and that includes everything except a vehicle, which we will address separately. So we would get $41,666 of funding towards that. So the town's payment requirement would be $10,334,000, and we propose funding that with managed vacancy funds for this year. So not asking for any additional funds at this time. In year 2, the cost for the officer will be $86,200 with benefits. The cost of the town will be $44,534. Year 3, the cost will be $89,500. Cost of the town will be $47,834. And then in year 4, the town would assume the full $93,000 of the grant. Again, this would take us to a total of 50 FTEs in the police department, 48 of those being sworn to civilians. And Chief Acosta is certainly here to answer any questions you may have about the position itself, but we're seeking your adoption of this resolution authorizing the increase to the full-time position plan by adding this grant position as an additional police officer position.
And we're looking to take action on this December 12th.
Correct. We have briefed it tonight and would bring it back on consent on the 12th.
Okay. Councilmember Fender.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Will this position be a new hire? Will you go outside the department or hire from within?
I think I know the answer, but I'll let Chief Acosta tell you so we're right.
Good evening. So, yes, ma'am. So typically in situations like this, we'll appoint somebody that's already in the police department into that role.
Okay. Can you give a little bit more insight as to what this role will do, what that individual will do differently as opposed to other police officers?
Yes, ma'am. They'll work within our criminal investigations division, and they'll be assigned cases specifically to domestic violence, sexual assaults, CIT, crisis intervention.
Training.
So anything really crisis related, they'll be working those cases.
So they won't really be on call. They'll be.
No, they will be on call. Yeah, they'll be on call specifically for those types of cases.
Okay. I guess I'm looking to, I'm all for this. I think it's great that we're adding this type of position. I guess I was just trying to understand, so what do you see in the benefits of having this type of role in your department?
So currently, our general investigators investigate these cases, which also takes them away from other types of cases. So it allows us to streamline. It allows those investigators to have a little bit tighter connection to other resources, and so obviously it will help our victims as well.
Will this individual have any specialized training?
Absolutely, yeah. In all of those different areas, they'll receive that training.
Do some of your officers already have that type of training?
Yeah, so I think we're at right around 70% currently of our officers being CIT trained. Our goal is always 100%, but with turnover, that changes. Some of our investigators are currently trained in different types of special victims crimes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Rabati, please.
What's the volume of cases that you would expect this detective to be handling? We all wish we lived in a world where
I wish I could provide an accurate number of DV cases and CIT cases we get. I know I shared with you guys almost a year ago what that looked like as far as how rapidly our CIT calls were growing. And so that's really going to help. The goal is really to take those resources and partner a little bit closer with those resources so we can have a more rapid response to help folks in crisis, along with we do have a lot of special victims cases that we work. I don't have a number with me this evening.
I think that we should do some public outreach once the person's hired and up to speed. I think we should do some public outreach, letting people know that the person's on staff and that this is, that we have a dedicated, trained professional to handle these kind of cases, and it's someone that you can call if you're in crisis. That isn't, where you're not going to get locked up, but you're not, where there'd be a person that's trained to handle a domestic violence situation. Or I know some of the officers are trained, but I don't know how well known that is in the community.
Right. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm very excited. The fact that we'll have a specialized officer can be more outward facing, can work with Interact and Kieran, and just really build the awareness which is really the big challenge. I remember a little over 10 years ago, we set up the neighborhood watch in my neighborhood. And when someone came to our home to tell us all about it, he said, there's a lot more domestic violence than you know.
Yeah.
So there's signs that people can look for to help others, and this will make it more possible for us to do that for all our residents. So thank you very much for taking the lead, getting this grant, and on the 12th, hopefully we'll be
We
moving
thank
it
you
forward.
guys for the support as well.
Thank you so much. Anything else, Town Manager? All set?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're looking to vote on that on the 12th as part of a very busy meeting with swearings in and such. At this time, we're at item 13, future meetings, events, and community engagement opportunities. So our next winter white goods collection day will be Thursday, December 7th. MAFC will be hosting its annual Swim with Santa event on Friday, December 15th. Our holiday tree lighting will be this Saturday, December 2nd from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. on Town Hall Drive at the Indian Creek Trailhead. Our menorah lighting will be on Thursday, December 14th from 6 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. on Town Hall Drive at the Indian Creek Trailhead. No registration is necessary for either of these Light Up Morrisville events, but the other events you do need to register in advance. Residents are invited to apply online for the Community Police Academy until December 15th. The 8 weekly classes will be held in January and February. Register online starting at 6 a.m. this Friday, December 1st for the Morrisville Aquatics and Fitness Center annual Swim with Santa event that is taking place on Friday, December 15th. The Western Wake Farmers Market is now operating under its winter hours every Saturday from 9:30 a.m. until noon. For a full listing of events, please see the town calendar at www.morrisvillenc.gov. While there, sign up for our Next Week in Morrisville email, which comes out every Friday, and also download Morrisville Central on your Android or iPhone to have all this info at your fingertips. This time we're at Council and Manager comments. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Fender, followed by Councilmember Rao.
I don't have any comments.
Councilmember Rao, followed by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
I just had a few. I got one business for the staff near Airport Boulevard, Baby Moon Cafe. There's been some complaints about trash because of the transportation project, so someone can look into it, or I could put you in touch with them through email. Want to congratulate Kerry for the downtown park. I wasn't able to make it to the opening, but I went walking there. It's really amazing. Really congratulate them, and it gives us a lot to look forward to about our downtown plans. Ethel Holland turned 100 years at Shiloh, a really big landmark for our family. And a sad day in Wake County as we lost Commissioner West, and he left a long legacy of service. And the final thing I'll say is it was really inspiring to see Solarized Triangle win the Cleveland Tech Cluster Award, and I think it shows a lot of our vision that the town of Morrisville partnered with them. And the mayor and I were at First Flight Venture High Flyer Awards, closed out Entrepreneurship Week, and it was great to see a lot of entrepreneurs there, a lot of Morrisville companies there. Governor Hunt and Jim Martin were former governors given the Champions of Innovation Award, and there was also a company there demoing Dignified Therapeutics that came through a Hotivation program. So hopefully we'll continue to grow startup companies in Morrisville and the region. So that's all. Have a great rest of the week.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, followed by Councilmember Garamella virtually.
So I have one sad thing to talk about, but before I do that, I talk about something happy. Tonight's presentations were incredible. We highlighted the youth in our community. We highlighted adults in our community and what they're doing with our Morrisville 101 class. We talked about the police department and the fire department, and recognized them and all their accomplishments. And then we talked about the language access program, which I think is phenomenal. So I will tell you, of all the nights I've sat through meetings, this one makes me the happiest because we did some pretty phenomenal work here tonight. So thank you all for doing that and making that happen tonight. So that gave me great joy. But I also need to take a few minutes and talk about a lifelong Morrisville resident that we lost last night. Emma Tet Green Walton passed away last night at the age of 96. And Tet is one of those people that I honestly cannot remember the first time we met. She has just always been a part of my life since I was involved in the town of Morrisville. So I clearly have known her for more than 24 years. I started out as an alternate on the Planning and Zoning Board when I first got involved. I surely had met her sometime during those years. And I was very fortunate to have had the pleasure to sit in her kitchen many, many, many times to hear about the history of Morrisville, her personal stories, her family stories. She shared pictures. She shared pictures with Ernest, and now his name escapes me, his last name, who wrote the book about Morrisville. She shared pictures with him. I'm sorry?
Ernest Dollar.
Dollar, thank you very much. She was just a really unique and special lady. And I think it's important just to share a little bit about her. She was the granddaughter, because her history, Tet, was Morrisville. Her history is the history of Morrisville. Tet Walton was the granddaughter of W.G. Clements. He was a Civil War hero, and he founded the iconic historic Christian church in 1872. And of course, that's the church we've renovated and saved, which I am so happy about, and that we use today for meetings and events. Tet was born in 1927, and she grew up on Green Drive in Morrisville. So that was her family name, Green Drive. Again, she's a longstanding Morrisville resident. She was the first woman elected commissioner, because back then they were called commissioners in the town of Morrisville. She served from 1975 to 1981, and thank you, Jeannie. Jeannie Hooks helped me with some of the details on the dates. So Tet led the way for the majority of the women on this council, and obviously led the way for future councils with the work and the leadership that she lent to this town. She also, and Jeannie reminded me of this when we chatted today, Tet served on the Historic Crossroads Committee for the town center plan back in 2008, and I had forgotten about that. I remembered that event because it took place at the First Baptist Church of Morrisville, but I had forgotten that Tet was on that committee, and how how ironic that we talk about the town center today as speaking about her and trying to honor her and respect her and all she's done for the town of Morrisville. So she had a hand in a lot of things here in the town of Morrisville, and definitely in our town center plan that we're working on today. Tet was known as a consensus builder on the when she was an elected official, and even when she wasn't an elected official. And she was a really strong voice behind the efforts to restore the old Christian church. Again, makes me happy, and I know it made her happy. She was married to her husband, Bo, who passed away a couple of years ago, and Bo also was instrumental in Morrisville and its history. Bo was a charter member of the first Morrisville Fire Department. And, together, their public service spoke volumes here in the town of Morrisville. And her son, Jack, carried on that tradition because Jack Walton followed in his mom's footsteps, and he served on our Board of Adjustment for many years and was also a chair of the Board of Adjustment. And Tet's daughter, Annie, was in the teaching profession, now retired. So the public service goes back a long way in that family. And one time, Tet was quoted as saying, "We all have to put aside our differences and work together to get anything done." And how true that is, how very true that is. And she was very wise. I was very grateful to have her as a friend and a confidant, and she gave me counsel over the years. She was, as Jeannie and I talked today, she was a real, genuine person. She told you the truth. She told you what she thought. She called me many times over the years and let me know exactly how she felt about things. And she often helped me change my mind, and I often helped change her mind. And she would call me back and remind me of that. So I am going to miss her deeply. I know her family, Annie, Jack, and all her grandchildren are going to miss her deeply. And I just want to send my condolences to the whole Walton family, especially to Annie and Jack. And I wish their whole family peace and comfort in the days ahead. So, thank you.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Garamella, followed by Councilmember Scroggins Johnson, please.
No, I think after what Liz said, I don't have anything. But Liz, was she from the Green Hope Baptist Church? She used to go there.
To the Green Hope Baptist Church? No, I
Yeah.
do not think so. Mm-mm.
Well,
Good Hope, yeah.
yeah, Good Hope one. Okay.
Oh, and
Nah.
Satish, can I say one more thing? I'm sorry. I don't know anything about the services yet. As soon as I know, I will share that, and I will, I'm sure the family will also share it. But thank you. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's it. I didn't have anything, no comments from me.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Scroggins Johnson, please.
Thank you, TJ. I don't have any comments for this evening specifically, but I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Johnson that this was a really good meeting, and it was the wrong one for me to miss this year. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to participate in person. But congratulations to our, fire, police, all the 101 graduates. It was just a spectacular meeting, and of course the students that participated in the competition. That was really fun outcome to see those posters and so forth. So that was great. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a lot of posters. I'll go, followed by Councilmember Rabati. So I just want to touch on some of the things that Mayor Pro Tem mentioned. Bo and Tet were really part of the fabric of the town. I was fortunate that she did open her home to my daughter and I. My daughter was doing a 7th grade social studies project. So Bo and Tet talked about how they grew up in the area, and the one thing that really strikes me, he served in the military, but Tet was saying how they used to get around Morrisville on horses. And you can kind of imagine that back in the 50s and 60s, people riding horses through Morrisville to get around. I thought that was pretty cool. But to my prepared comments, I just want to share, Mayor Steve mentioned Commissioner West. I just want to share that I really felt that Commissioner West was a kind and insightful leader, and he will definitely be missed. I want to hope that everyone had a really nice Thanksgiving. I want to say a big thank you to our staff for making Town Hall and Town Hall Drive so festive, and for all the fun events coming up to celebrate the various holidays which our residents enjoy. The diversity and friendly, welcoming nature of our residents and staff is what truly makes Morrisville a special place to live. Councilmember Rabati?
Thank you, Mayor. So I didn't have the privilege of knowing Ted, but from Mayor Pro Tem's description, it sounds like that's a huge loss for Morrisville. I'm very sorry for her family. I also wanted to mention that I, along with Councilmember Rao, Mayor Colley, and Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, attended the DECA networking dinner from Panther Creek this week, and that was an amazing experience. I always come away from these interactions with young people so excited about the future, and they were just, it was a networking dinner so they could find out about what it's like to work in the real world and have a corporate job, and they just had so many good questions. They kept me on my toes the entire night, and it was just such a good experience. And I cannot wait for next year's dinner. So I want to give them a shout out and thank them for that invitation. And I am really upset that I'm going to miss the tree lighting. I'm going to be in Asheville this weekend. So everybody have a good time and drink some hot cocoa for me.
Sounds good, will do. Also, in regards to DECA, if anyone is interested in being a judge, they have a competition coming up. Go ahead and send me an email. And
I want to be a
connect
judge.
you. I sent it to town council, so I'll resend it.
Okay, thanks.
So Town Manager Zudema, are there any updates from staff?
Just one, just a reminder, you have an email from me. Some of you have answered it. Thank you. Those of you who haven't, if you would please take a look at that and get back to me by Friday if possible regarding a couple of procedural issues related to the agenda that I didn't think we needed to have discussion about. They're really just, are you okay with this? So if you have any questions, please let me know. But otherwise, you just catch up with me by phone or email on that. That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to recognize Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
I forgot one thing, and I'm sorry the police chief isn't here. I meant to say in my remarks too that during the presentation of the accreditation for the police department, that retired Chief Smith mentioned how, and I wrote it down, he was surprised that an agency our size could accomplish what they did. And I will tell you, that is no surprise to me. That is no surprise to the people in this room. We never doubted for a minute, and I told the chief that during the break. We know who the men and women of this Morrisville Police Department are, and we are really proud of them, and that is not surprising to us. So I just had to correct that for the record.
Yeah, I'm so happy. Martha helped institute lots of accreditations and best practices and really formalizing that, and you're continuing it, sir. Really appreciate it. It makes the town a much better place. So we're now at adjournment. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching this meeting of the Morrisville Town Council. We hope that you join us again. Please feel free to email your town council members at towncouncil@townofmorrisville.org or visit www.morrisvillenc.gov/council for additional contact information. Is there a motion and a second to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
A motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 5-0. It is 9:32. We are adjourned.